Okay, sports fans, week 10, set 1, SWYK 2. I put you through some grueling work in the last one with those fractions, so I'm hoping to make it up to you here with a couple slightly nicer ones. Okay, so in this particular problem, the 2's already been moved over to the right side, so I don't have to worry about that. I am going to figure out what I need to add. Now, every time you do this, I would suggest that you leave open space right here. So you've got the 2 on the other side. You know that you're going to be adding something to both sides of the equation, so you might as well leave some open space, which you can see that I clearly did. Then I did my little b squared over 4a trick. That gave me 4, so I added 4 to both sides. Now, I'm factoring. Where does this number come, this negative 2 come from? It's half of this middle value, right? It's always half. Okay, so that's x minus 2 quantity squared equals, and 2 plus 4 on the other side is 6. How do we get rid of a square? Take a square root. And when we take the square root, we get the plus and minus. Now, 6, that's not a nice number to take a square root of. So leave it alone. Don't mess with it. I don't want decimals. There's no perfect square trapped inside of 6. That's as simple as it gets. So we add the 2 to the other side. And one way we could leave our answer is like that. Except Math Excel says use a comma to separate answers as needed. Okay, I'll write them separately. So I did. Now, does it matter which one goes first? No. You can put either one first. So 2 minus radical 6 could go first, comma, 2 plus radical 6. No big deal. I wish it would just let you do the plus and minus and be done with it. But they're all picky nasty. Okay, next. Question 2. So, trying to get all tricky on me. They want me to bring the linear term over here and put the constant term over there. I can handle that. So I did that, left my space. Remember how we talked about leaving open space? A little b squared over 4a gives me 36. So I add 36 to both sides of the equation, giving me 14 on the right. X minus 6 quantity squared. I factored this thing just so you're aware of what I did, right? Half of negative 12 is negative 6. That's where that comes from. Take the square root on both sides. Once again, 14 does not have any perfect squares trapped inside of it, so it's just plus and minus radical 14. And we add the 6 to the other side, and then we write our answers separately and put the comma because they said to. Not because we wanted to, but all right. But because they're being difficult. Okay. Let's see here. Push the 9 over to the other side. There, got that part. B squared over 4 times A gave me 12. So now I know what to add to both sides, right? 12. That gives me a positive 3 on the right side. We want to factor out a 3. Everything, we're going to pull a 3 out of every one of those. So divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. So that gives me x squared minus 4x plus 4. Then I can divide both sides by 3 to get rid of that. And obviously that turns that into a 1. This can then be factored into x minus 2 quantity squared, right? Because it's half of the middle term. And then you take the square root to get rid of the square. Same old song and dance. We've got a plus and minus 1. We add 2. And 1 plus 2 is 3. And negative 1 plus 2 is 1. Those are your final answers on that one. See, some of these are a lot better than the fraction ones that I put you through in the last SWYK. I shouldn't say last week. Did I say last week? What am I thinking? Solve the quadratic equation by completing the square. All right, so the 9's already moved over. All right, that's nice. B squared, that's 1 squared over 4 times 1. Ooh, that's ugly. Adding 1/4 to both sides. Got to show you a little trick here. 1/4, right? So that's like 36/4 plus 1/4. Remember this taking me back to my middle school days? Yeah, that's right. 37/4. Okay, and I know some of you are going to like scream and yell at, 37, that's not a perfect square, nor is there a perfect square trapped inside of it. You're right, it's a prime number. Okay, so once I get to this point, I'm going to break down, there's nothing to pull out of all of them, so I can go ahead and factor it. The middle term here is a positive 1, so half of that is 1/2, so that's where I get the x plus 1/2 quantity squared. Other side, I have my 37/4. Then we took the square root, got the little plus and minus. Square root of 37, ain't nothing gonna happen there. But the square root of 4, ooh, that's a 2. All right, and then the square and the square root on the left side are gone. I can subtract the 1/2 to the other side. So it gives me these two answers right here: negative 1/2 plus radical 37/2. Negative 1/2 minus. Now, is it okay to write negative 1 plus radical 37/2, comma, negative 1 minus radical 37/2? Of course it is. That's another way to write it. Now, I do want you to be able to understand that you can write it both ways, because sorry, got distracted for a second. Because there are times when you want to simplify those, and if you don't realize that you can write it like this, you will simplify it incorrectly. And I don't want that to happen to you or anybody else. Question 5. Rewrite in vertex form. Okay, so this is a slightly different type of problem. We're still going to use the completing the square process for this. So you see that I moved the 4 over to the other side, all right? Just kind of moved it out of my way so it wasn't distracting me. And then I did my little b squared over 4a. Found out that I had to add 9 to both sides. So as you can see, I added 9 to both sides. In fact, 9 minus 4 right here is positive 5. Over on this side, I have a perfect square that can be factored into x plus 3 quantity squared. I didn't have to pull out anything in front, from the 3 terms, because there's just a 1 sitting out there in front of the x squared. So I went ahead and factored it. X plus 3 times x plus 3, or x plus 3 squared. Last thing I can do, bring that 5 back on over. And so this is my final answer. Obviously, they've already got the y equals for me. I just had to put in the x plus 3 quantity squared minus 5. So that is how we use the completing the square to rewrite something into vertex form. A standard form quadratic changed into its vertex form. I know there's another way to do it too, but we can find the vertex another way. Probably already know how to do that too. So anyway, have a wonderful day working on SWYK number 2.